Campground wiring presents unique challenges depending on whether it's a primitive campground or an RV campground. For primitive campgrounds, minimal infrastructure and remote locations are key considerations. Tips include using battery-powered or solar-powered lights for illumination, considering digging small trenches for conduit to protect wires from damage, and using waterproof connectors and junction boxes to prevent moisture ingress. RV campgrounds, on the other hand, often have high amperage demands and require multiple service pedestals. For RV campgrounds, it is suggested to install a main electrical panel to distribute power to the pedestals, use heavy-duty cable and connectors for high amperage circuits, and ensure proper grounding and bonding for safety. When it comes to small cottage wiring, limited space and existing structures often pose challenges. In tight spaces, use flexible conduit. Plan for future expansion or upgrades by installing extra conduit and junction boxes. Consider using smart switches and dimmers to enhance convenience and energy efficiency. Several experiences are common across these types of wiring projects. Securing permits and approvals for electrical work can be time-consuming. Choosing the right materials for the specific application and environment is crucial. Trenching for conduit can be physically demanding, especially in challenging soil conditions. Wiring and making electrical connections requires precision and attention to detail. Working with electricity poses safety risks. Follow proper safety procedures and use protective gear. Unless you have extensive electrical experience, it's recommended to hire a licensed electrician for safety and compliance. Create detailed plans for wiring layout, material specifications, and safety protocols. Obtain quotes from multiple electricians to compare prices and services. Schedule regular electrical inspections to ensure safety and prevent potential issues. Electrical codes and regulations change over time. Keep up to date to ensure compliance with the latest standards. Considering challenges for primitive campgrounds, firstly is minimal infrastructure. Secondly is remote locations. With consideration to tips for primitive campgrounds, firstly is using battery-powered or solar-powered lights for illumination. Secondly is considering digging small trenches for conduit to protect wires from damage. Thirdly is using waterproof connectors and junction boxes to prevent moisture ingress. Regarding challenges for RV campgrounds, firstly is high amperage demand. Secondly is multiple service pedestals. Concerning tips for RV campgrounds, firstly install a main electrical panel to distribute power to the pedestals. Secondly, use heavy-duty cable and connectors for high amperage circuits. Thirdly, ensure proper grounding and bonding for safety. As for challenges for small cottage wiring, firstly is limited space. Secondly is existing structures. Regarding tips for small cottage wiring, firstly use flexible conduit to navigate tight spaces. Secondly, plan for future expansion or upgrades by installing extra conduit and junction boxes. Thirdly, consider using smart switches and dimmers to enhance convenience and energy efficiency. When it comes to common experiences, firstly is planning and permitting, which means securing permits and approvals for electrical work can be time-consuming. Secondly, material selection, which means choosing the right materials for the specific application and environment is crucial. Thirdly, digging and conduit installation, which means trenching for conduit can be physically demanding, especially in challenging soil conditions. Fourthly, electrical connections, which means wiring and making electrical connections requires precision and attention to detail. Fifthly, safety precautions, which means working with electricity poses safety risks. Follow proper safety procedures and use protective gear. Finally, with regard to tips, firstly, hire a licensed electrician, which means unless you have extensive electrical experience, it's recommended to hire a licensed electrician for safety and compliance. Secondly, plan thoroughly, which means create detailed plans for wiring layout, material specifications, and safety protocols. Thirdly, get multiple quotes, which means obtain quotes from multiple electricians to compare prices and services. Fourthly, inspect regularly, which means schedule regular electrical inspections to ensure safety and prevent potential issues. And fifthly, stay updated on codes and regulations, which means electrical codes and regulations change over time. Keep up to date to ensure compliance with the latest standards. In review, for a primitive campground, consider things such as low voltage lighting, for example, 12 volts direct current lighting. This can reduce the need for extensive wiring and can be powered by batteries or solar panels. Furthermore, consider the location of electrical components to minimize environmental impact. Avoid disturbing sensitive areas and properly restore any disturbed ground. For RV campgrounds, calculate the total load demand to ensure the electrical system can handle the combined load of all RV. Use appropriately sized conductors and overcurrent protection to prevent overloading. In planning the layout of service pedestals, consider accessibility, spacing, and protection from the elements. Ensure pedestals are located away from areas prone to flooding and are protected from physical damage. With small cottage wiring, assess the existing electrical system to determine its capacity and condition. Upgrade the service if necessary to meet the demands of modern appliances and devices. When running wires in existing structures, use non-metallic sheathed cable, also known as NM cable, or flexible metal conduit to protect wires from damage. Install arc fault circuit interrupters, also known as ASIs, and ground fault circuit interrupters, also known as GFCIs, to protect against electrical fires and shocks. Ensure all wiring and electrical components are properly grounded to provide a safe path for fault current. When it comes to permits and approvals, research local electrical codes and regulations to ensure compliance. Obtain all necessary permits before starting any electrical work. Schedule inspections with the local electrical inspector to verify the work meets code requirements. With material selection, choose electrical components that are rated for the intended environment. Use weatherproof enclosures and connectors for outdoor installations. Select conductors and cables that are appropriately sized for the load and voltage drop requirements. When digging trenches, contact the local utility companies to locate any underground utilities before digging. Dig trenches to the required depth and width according to local codes and regulations. Use proper backfilling techniques to protect conduits and cables from damage. When making electrical connections, use appropriate connectors and terminals for the type and size of conductors being used. Ensure all connections are clean, tight, and properly insulated. Use a torque wrench to tighten connections to the manufacturer's specifications to prevent loose connections. When following safety precautions, always disconnect power before working on any electrical circuit. Use insulated tools and wear appropriate personal protective equipment, including safety glasses and gloves. Test circuits with the voltage tester before touching any wires or terminals to ensure they are de-energized. When hiring a licensed electrician, verify the electrician's license and insurance coverage. Check references and read reviews to ensure the electrician has a good reputation. Discuss the scope of work and obtain a written estimate before starting any work. When planning thoroughly, create a detailed wiring diagram showing the location of all electrical components and circuits. Develop a bill of materials listing all the necessary materials and their quantities. Create a schedule for completing the work, including milestones and deadlines. When getting multiple quotes, obtain quotes from at least 3 different electricians. Compare the quotes based on price, scope of work, and qualifications. Ask for a breakdown of costs, including labor, materials, and permit fees. When inspecting regularly, schedule regular inspections with a qualified electrician to identify any potential problems. Inspect wiring, connections, and electrical components for signs of damage or wear. Test GFCIs and ASIs to ensure they are functioning properly. When staying updated on codes and regulations, subscribe to industry publications and attend training seminars to stay informed about changes to electrical codes and regulations. Review the National Electrical Code, also known as NEC, and local amendments to ensure compliance. Consult with electrical inspectors and other experts to clarify any questions or concerns. Keep records of all electrical work, including permits, inspections, and maintenance. This documentation can be helpful for future reference and for demonstrating compliance with codes and regulations. When working on campground or cottage electrical systems, consider the unique environmental conditions such as moisture, temperature, and exposure to sunlight. Choose materials and installation methods that can withstand these conditions. Consider the potential for future expansion or upgrades when designing the electrical system. Install extra conduit and junction boxes to accommodate future wiring needs. Use smart home technology to enhance convenience, energy efficiency, and security. Install smart switches, dimmers, thermostats, and security systems that can be controlled remotely. Consider the impact of electrical work on the environment. Use energy-efficient lighting and appliances to reduce energy consumption. Recycle electrical waste properly to minimize environmental pollution. Ensure that all electrical work is performed safely and in compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. This will protect people and property from electrical hazards. Remember that electricity can be dangerous. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician. Proper planning, material selection, and installation techniques are essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of campground and cottage electrical systems.